A mind-bending new Ministry of Defense, MOD, report circulating in the Kremlin today, worded more like a science fiction horror novel than a normal military document, states that the successful test of an advanced missile for the ballistic missile defense system, along with Russia's Aerospace force just taking over control of 3 new satellites, are in exact conformance with the 24 October warning issued by President Donald Trump as to why he suddenly more than doubled the budget of his nation's Planetary Defense Coordination Office that was in response to the historic appearance in our solar system of Comet 46P/Wirtanen, and whose effects of the Americans attribute to having caused a series of powerful earthquakes to erupt off the western coast of Canada, and less than 24 hours ago caused another powerful 7.0 magnitude earthquake to devastate south-central Alaska, all of which gives pause to re-examine the biblical warning issued last September 2017 by the little-known American Christian site unsealed.org that our world should start preparing for aliens sent by the devil who are coming to destroy Earth. According to this report, over the past year, MOD officials continued to be perplexingly amused by President Trump's persistent call to reorganize the U.S. military, for the first since 1947, to allow for the creation of a new Space Force, but all of whose perplexity and amusement were wiped away from the faces and minds of these MOD officials, on October 24, after their fearfully learning what Trump was really doing, and as we related to you in our October 24 report titled Russian Leaders React with Alarm after Trump explains why he suddenly boosted planetary defense budget. At the center of the Americans, and now the MOD's, fears, this report notes, is Comet 46P/Wirtanen, a small short-period comet belonging to the Jupiter family of comets that has an orbital period of 5.4 years and was first discovered on January 17, 1948. Having a diameter estimated at 1.2 kilometers, 0.75 miles, and a stable orbit between it and Earth of 1 to 3 Os. O astronomical unit is the average distance between Earth and the Sun, which is about 93 million miles or 150 million kilometers. This report details the rotation period of 8.91 hours for Comet 46P/Wirtanen is a near astronomical match for another Jupiter family comet named 67P/Churyumov-Gerasimenko, having an orbital period of 6.45 years that was discovered on September 20, 1969. Has a diameter estimated at 4.3 by 4.1 kilometers, 2.7 by 2.5 miles, has a stable orbit between it and Earth of 1 to 5 Os, and has a rotation period of approximately 12.4 hours that are, also, characteristics used to describe man-made satellites. In 1998, this report continues, the European Space Agency suddenly announced that it was preparing to send a satellite to Comet 46P/Wirtanen in 2003 that they named the Rosetta spacecraft, but whose planned January 12, 2003 launch to Comet 46P/Wirtanen mysteriously failed, with it then being relaunched on March 2, 2004, but whose new target was 67P/Churyumov-Gerasimenko, and 10 years later, on November 12, 2014, saw the Rosetta spacecraft release its fully lander onto the surface of 67P/Churyumov-Gerasimenko, with all contact being lost from it on July 9, 2015 and, on September 30, 2016, the Rosetta spacecraft being reported to have crashed into the surface of 67P/Churyumov-Gerasimenko, destroying itself, and that, in turn, led to nearly all Western skeptics declaring that the entire Rosetta mission had been a cover-up to keep hidden the radio signals that were detected coming from these comets, with one particular anonymous expert within the European Space Agency noting, "Do not think for one moment that a space agency would suddenly decide to spend billions of dollars to build and send a spacecraft on a 12-year journey to simply take some close-up images of a randomly picked-out comet floating in space. Comet 67P is not a comet." Some 20 years ago, NASA began detecting radio bursts from an unknown origin out in space. It would later be known that these had likely come from the direction of the now named Comet 67P. It does show signs on its outside of machine-like parts and unnatural terrain. Whatever this object is, it did not ask to be found or scrutinized. In 2012, while the Rosetta spacecraft was still 2 years out from 67P/Churyumov Gerasimenko and racing towards it. This report further details, Dr. Scientist Mikhail Maslov issued an alert that for the first time in known history, our Earth would enter the debris stream emanating from Comet 46P/Wirtanen, and due to orbital velocity of this interaction, orbital mechanics, would fling some of this debris to the outer edges of our solar system by 2017, where, on October 19, 2017, the first interstellar object ever detected passing through our solar system was detected, and that was quickly named Oumuamua. With this first in history interstellar object Oumuamua being named after the Hawaiian word meaning scout, this report says, it was immediately declared by all of the world experts to be an alien spacecraft of unknown origin, as it could not be classified as either an asteroid or comet and is accelerated by an unknown force, a fact quickly suppressed by the Western propaganda media, who silenced anyone attempting to tell the truth but whose fear tactics of intimidation to silence were swept away by one of the most prestigious astronomers in the world, Dr. Avi Loeb, the head of the Department of Astronomy at Harvard University, who refuses to back down in calling Oumuamua an alien interstellar spacecraft, and railed against his peers terrified to admit the truth by his stating, "I regard being a scientist as a great privilege of maintaining your childhood curiosity, because children ask questions. They are not afraid of being wrong. Somehow, when they become adults, adults lose that inner sense. That includes scientists as well. Many of my colleagues are not willing to take risks. Not daring to be wrong, and that's a problem, because sometimes we just don't know in advance what's right and what's wrong. We have to take the risk in order to make discoveries, because what I want to understand is what Oumuamua is. For that purpose, it doesn't really matter how popular is one idea versus the other on Twitter. It is what it is, and we want to find out." The academic community has this concept of tenure, where someone has faculty position for life, irrespective of what happens, okay? As long as that person doesn't commit a crime. That is a great privilege. It's a privilege to follow ideas to where they lead you without worrying about what other people think. However, many practitioners in academia do not use that privilege. Once they get to the position of tenure, they worry about their image and about not being wrong. By doing so, they betray the purpose of their profession. The tenure process is aimed at allowing you the freedom of coming up with your own conclusions, and therefore, if people have a problem with this idea, they should come up with a specific alternative interpretation of the extra push that Oumuamua has, rather than calling names or saying things without scientific context. First, we learn about the completely different process that makes these weird class of objects with much larger abundance than we ever expected. But in the more interesting case, we might learn about another civilization, and without a prejudice, we are just collecting data about the universe. The working hypothesis currently guiding the MOD, this report explains, is that Comet 46P/Wirtanen and 67P/Churyumov Gerasimenko are sentinel satellites placed into orbit thousands, if not tens of thousands, of years ago to monitor our solar system, particularly Earth, with their reporting by radio signal to whomever, or whatever, created them about their observations. With the Rosetta spacecraft targeting them both, however, this report continues, the MOD believes that Comet 46P/Wirtanen signaled Oumuamua with this interstellar spacecraft then entering our solar system a year ago, with nearly immediately afterwards Comet 46P/Wirtanen being detected to have begun a spiraling orbit that, on December 16, will see it making its closest in history approach to Earth at just 0.07810, 11,680,000 kilometers, 7,260,000 miles, where it will be visible to the naked eye. Of the most terrifying fears held by the MOD, though, this report concludes, is that the alien civilization that created these sentinel satellites in the first place did so to keep Earth from becoming a spacefaring world, as that would threaten their technological superiority, with our world's entire history being littered with tens of thousands of written accounts and artifacts describing and showing how we've been destroyed many times over as we neared technological greatness and whose Fears of this occurring again were raised on November 11 when for the first time in recorded history, a series of unusual seismic pulses rippled around the world for 20 minutes that immediately followed reports that Italy's Campi Flegrei supervolcano is reaching dangerous levels, and today is being reported to be building huge magma reserves and whose apocalyptic eruption would, most certainly, destroy Rome, most particularly its ancient Colosseum that stood for nearly 2,000 years and about whose destruction the 19th century British nobleman Lord Byron related in his describing the 18th century English historian Edward Gibbon accounts of the ancient 7th century Anglo-Saxon pilgrims warning the peoples of the future. While stands the Colosseum, Rome shall stand. When falls the Colosseum, Rome shall fall. And when Rome falls, the world